Welcome to our Devos. This week, we are living in yet another week of crazy history. If you are in America with us, you'll see that you're in the middle of that. So the title of this series that we're going to be talking about, because we just finished the Gospel of Mark, and now we're into just a random sermon that we did on Sunday that's not really random because it's perfect for the time. I want to talk to you this week about having calm hearts in troubled times. Calm hearts in troubled times. I don't believe that God has called us as Christians to match the temperature of what's going on around us. In fact, I believe the way that God has designed us is to be people who are living according to heaven's temperature and not according to the earth's temperature. And right now there's so much calamity going on. There's so much going on politically in our society. And it's changing moment by moment. I started working on these devotions at the end of last week, and the sermon at the end of last week, and I had to change it a couple times because of different things that have been happening. And so what do you do? What do you do when you are in the middle of these troublous times? Well, there's some practical things that we want to talk about, specifically with regard to where we are in this point in history. But this doesn't just refer to this point in history. This refers also to how to handle any time that you're dealing with troublous times. So let's take a look at the first thing that we want to do whenever your world is kind of falling apart. Watch your heart more than the screen. Watch your heart more than the screen. We are in, of course, if you're watching this years from now, like we're in the middle of just having gone through a potential presidential assassination of the leading candidate, President Trump. And of course, just not too long after that, Joe Biden, the actual president of the United States, dropped out of the presidential race over Twitter. So I don't even know how they're going to spin that in the history books if we live long enough to have history books. But I mean, I said this on Sunday, but I'm never going to confront anyone again who breaks up with their boyfriend or girlfriend over text message. The president saying, I don't want to be the president anymore over Twitter is like the number one thing. So, but this is one thing, regardless of the events that are going on. This is one consistency that has been a part of everything that's happening, is that we have become even more addicted to the news cycle and to listening to people talk about what's going on in the news. So my encouragement is to watch your heart more than the screen. I would be naive to say, hey, just don't watch any news right now. I've gone through seasons, like years, where I just will stop watching the news. And right now to tell you to stop watching the news will be similar to saying, hey, just if you're, I know you've been fasting for 50 days, like when on the 51st day when you're allowed to eat, just avoid food. It's not a big deal. Like it's insane because literally moment by moment, the life that we're living seems to be changing. But if you're going to watch the news, if you're going to read the news, if you're going to engage in what's happening, you need to watch your heart more than you watch the screen. You have to be aware of what's going on inside of you as a result of what you are ingesting digitally. And it's very, very slippery how this starts. That we start to read and start to watch things. And then before you know it, we start to get angry. And then not too long after that, we become bitter. And it's especially true in the coming days as we're leading up to our American presidential election, that we are going to be facing opportunities to be bitter with people, to be angry at people. And really, that's one of those things that we have to deal with on the inside level of our hearts. We can only control ourselves. We can't control what's going on in this world. So we have to watch our heart more than what's going on the screen. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 31 says, let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and slander be put away from you, along with all malice. My suggestion is that if you are watching or reading something that's causing you to feel rage, hate, anger, maliciousness, if that's happening, it's not the Lord's will for you to be having those emotions. We can get angry. Sure, in our political context, I don't want to say we can't get angry. That might have been a mistake to say that. If you're angry about something, sure. And what action can you take? Well, the action is you vote. The action is that you pray for the people that are involved in whatever's making you angry. But when it comes to our hearts, it's real easy to allow these things to grow in our hearts like weeds. One day it's kind of neat looking and it's foreign there in our yards, but then the next day when our yard is completely filled with all these different weeds, it's not so much. And I think when we head into this particular season, I think it's going to be important that we are gardening our hearts, that we are watching for these things that God is expressly saying should not be a part of your life. So when you are ingesting, make sure that you are guarding your heart, watching it, submitting those things, because now more than ever we have to be vigilant to keep the heart that God has provided for us.